up the group discussion. Okay. So our main discussion is about yield X, which I figured it would be. There's a few things about home plate. But before we get started, did anyone have any questions? So from my understanding, I was a little confused on what it means to the convertible debt. Did you guys understand that very well?
Nope. Pretty much home plate, I had no idea.
I know. I'm like, the vibe I kind of got from it was that they like, you basically, if the company does well, then you pretty much lose ownership of the company. That's the kind of vibe I was kind of getting from.
I think convertible debt is actually, it's most preferential to the founder.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't it like an IOU in a sense? Like when my business starts taking off, I'll give you a bigger chunk. Or whoever is giving the loan, like I'll give you a piece at a lower rate and a lower percentage.
Yeah, they still benefit from being early investors, but there are a couple of things that are helpful. So with convertible debt, one of the big things is you don't have to go through the valuation process. So it can be more of a relaxed type thing, like, hey, I'll give you, 50 grand right now. We don't have to figure out what the value is, which could impact, Series A funding later, because it could seriously dilute. It could dilute ownership and a bunch of other stuff. So, that was one of the big things, is it allows investors to put money in without having to create a formal valuation process.
Okay. And then they're promised ownership in the company if it does well, and then but so it's the founder, it's in his benefit though to do this so that he can kind of be in control, and he owns 51% of the company or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I was a little backwards. It was like that way that video explained it. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. When did you have a chance to look at to do the analysis for what was that other one? Not YieldX, but the home plate.
Home plate. Yeah, I was messing around with it, but I don't think I did it right. I was going to ask you guys and see how you did it, but
I can pull my analysis up. Oh, it might all be messed up. So let me see here. I know we'll get into this later, but I think it's helpful now to see. So this is how I came up with the ownership. This is what the ownership would be with non-convertible. So investor comes in, or this is during the seed round. The angel investor comes in. The other thing that happens that's a detriment to the founder is usually in the seed round, they're going to buy the shares for a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Which means that when the shares go up, they're going to end up with a higher percentage of ownership. So like here, the angel investor gets 19% and the founder will end up with 37%. But if you do convertible debt, then the angel investor loses 10% of the ownership.
Yeah. Now, how does that work? Now that the founder owns only 40%, and then the other guys own 50%, then who's in charge?
I don't know if we're going to get into this, but you can actually have ownership that has you can have ownership shares that are non-voting.
Okay.
So it depends on, and this could be getting way beyond what we're going to look at in this class, but you can have ownership where somebody owns more of the company from a percentage standpoint, And all that really impacts is it just means that they're going to get more of the revenue, more of a percentage of the revenue.
Okay, but they still do.
Right, but like the founder could keep the voting shares.
Okay.
So you can have voting and non-voting, which again, I don't think we've gotten into, at least I don't remember reading anything in this class about. So you can still keep control of the company while spinning off more of the revenues to somebody else.
Okay. All right, sweet. Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you.
Hey, Jonathan, could you please show us again your template? Because actually mine has something different.
Sure. And mine might be wrong. I followed the.
Okay, do you see the number of shares
Yeah.
for the foreign investment? Look here. How did you get the 120,000?
Because they invested 300,000 at $2.50 a share. So you take 300,000 divided by $2.50, and that gives you the number of shares. So it's actually I set it up as an equation.
So it was a division. Let me take a look here on mine. Okay, what I did was I multiplied the 300,000 for 2.5. So that's
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna go the other way around because this is dollar per share. So if you have $300,000 that you invested, then then you divide the dollar per share to get how many shares you actually have. So $300,000 at 250 actually equates to a lower amount. If it equated to a higher amount, then this would have to be less than 1.
Oh yeah, actually you're right. Yes. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for that.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Okay. So I guess we'll get started on the discussion. Do you guys think that Doug should accept the turn offer? Was it 2 million?
I would say
Walk
no.
away?
It was two. It was 2 million in cash and then 2 million in preferred stock.
Yeah.
So a total of 4 million.
If you guys, what would you guys do? That's tough because it's like I could walk away now and know that I got money, or I could sit around and be a multi-millionaire.
I said.
Oh, go ahead.
I said yes, but for qualitative reasons, not quantitative reasons.
Mm.
I don't think Doug's going to be happy. He's already thinking about selling, and he's what, a year into it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fight like the rest of the time. I don't think he's a startup person. I don't think he's a build to maturity person. So I think he needs to let it go to somebody else to build up, and he can take the cash. I just don't think he's going to be happy long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think yes. 2 million sounds like a lot, but in retrospect, it will go fast, and it seems like that the people with him, the other CEO that would join on, they said they would give him some type of cash, and then just the potential of the company long term, it could grow a lot more, and so he could make money a lot more in the long term. So I feel like he should go with that. I mean, someone wants to buy the company, obviously, because they feel like it can make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say no because this company has so much potential, and if you see the background of this guy who was going to be the CEO, Shields, man, he was a successful businessman, and he was a software engineer or something like that. So he knew about this market opportunity. He knew that he was that it was gonna grow. He was even willing to left behind his his last job just to go and take this opportunity. So I would say that because of Shield's opinion and Washington's opinion, sorry, it would be a good opportunity for them to keep growing the business. Also, he had so much faith in the Series A investment, and he had experience with this before. So I think it would be successful.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with from a quantitative perspective, like from a pure money standpoint, that that he should not sell. I just don't see him as an individual being the founder and owner. I don't see him carrying it through to the end. I see him, because several times in there talks about how he does not like risk, and he's already contemplating the offer. I just don't see him. I don't see him making it to the point where, you know, he's going to have a big cash in. I think he's going to give up too much when investors come in. That's going to dilute his shares and potentially his voting rights. I think he's going to be unhappy in the long run.
Yeah.
But I agree, from an economic standpoint, it makes sense for him to not sell.
Yeah. Someone started the recording, right? Was it Derek?
Yeah, it's showing live. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. So the next question, it says, oh yeah, we already talked about that. Yeah, we talked about number 3. It says, how much money will Doug receive as a group? Realize that it is likely that no one had the fully correct answer to this question. Here are some hints. Since half of the buyout offers in cash, you need to treat the cash as a sale and give the investors 2 times their investment in cash. Okay. And then it says, since half of the buyout offer is preferred stock, you need to treat the portion of buyout stock and give the investors 25% of the proceeds from the preferred shares. Doug's payout is whatever is left over after paying back his investors both the cash and stock. Everybody pick up on that?
I did. I haven't had a chance to run all the numbers like I would have liked, but I knew he had to pay him back. I didn't know if he was going to have to do both.
Yeah.
But I knew he was going to have to pay him back in order for it to work.
Yeah.
So 4 million is not quite 4 million anymore.
Right.
Interesting. Number 5 says, discuss as a group, how much does Shields deserve? Why does Washing want Doug to reject and turn the offer? Won't Washing get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out for more? How much does Washing give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of the equity?
I guess it depends if you'd rather have control of the business or you're more focused on growth. Shields and giving 50% of the equity and then make him a co-founder because he seems to be pretty invested in the idea.
Yeah.
And then it talks about why does Washing want Doug to reject the turnover? I guess Washing he invested in. Did it basically say he invested in Doug, saying I believe in you, Doug? That's why I'm investing. So that if Doug just goes ahead and leaves, then that looks really bad on the initial investors.
Yeah, it kind of leaves them kind of high and dry, and then they don't know what to expect with the bigger guys coming in, you know.
Or not Shields.
So I could see why that would be frustrating at some point for Washing, and why try to convince him otherwise.
Yeah, because you'd imagine when Doug initially was like proposing why they should invest, they could probably kind of feel kind of hoodwinked now. Like, he seemed like he believed in it so much, and now
Yeah.
I know the fact that he's considering leaving might have already hurt the relationship a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Washing and Shields, both of them, they were like foreseeing a future success, a really big increasement. Does that word exist? I don't know. Increased. Sorry, I don't know how to say this. Growth. That's what I want to say. So I think Washington was willing, like, to take the risk in the growth of the company, and actually he was a businessman as well. The thing is that Doc, he didn't he didn't have experience as a businessman. He just wanted to, like, to solve a problem in the market with his software, but he didn't have like this point of view of a businessman. However, Washington did, and he knew that this company would be successful, and the growth it would be like amazing for them. And yeah, Washington would receive like a good portion, well, kind of a good portion, because of his investment if they take the turn offer. But I think Washington was more willing to, like, to take the risk and receive higher profits um, by following the Series A investment.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think Washing has a conflict of interest in the decision because there's no downside for Washing to encourage him to not accept the offer from Turn. Because right now, he already knows he's got, he's got 2 times his capital plus interest coming back to him for the cash portion, and then 25% equity shares if on the stock portion. So he's already won there. So if he encourages Doug to not accept the offer, his upside's much higher. So there's no reason for Washington not push him to decline the decline.
Yeah.
I think that goes with Shields as well. Like everyone who put any kind of investment, they want the long-term return, not the quick buyout. For Doug, it's easy to make that call because he wins the most right away.
Yeah. I agree with that. So the next question, it says, can Doug use the turn offer to his advantage if he rejects it? I feel like he could probably negotiate a little bit more with his investors, if they really wanted him to stay. But, I mean, other than that, I don't see how else he could use it to his advantage. Do you guys?
No, I agree. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, obviously I don't know all the details, but it almost seems like a disadvantage that thinking about even leaving in the first place.
I think the advantage is specifically with Shields, because Shields he's gotten excited about the offer. He's already kind of planned his life around it, I think, made a decision. And so Shields wants it, and Doug knows that. And Doug doesn't lose anything. I mean, Shields is the one that stands to lose if Doug accepts the offer.
Yeah.
And Doug knows that. So if he's got leverage now with Shields where he didn't have it before.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point because Shields, he had the upper hand because he had the business knowledge, and that's what Doug wanted. But now that he knows he could just sell it at a whim, Shields is at his mercy, and maybe Doug can use this to say, like, hey, when ownership comes around, let me get the bigger chunk because I could have sold it and you would have had nothing.
Yep, for real. Yeah. So then it says, click here to read B case as a group.
Did anybody actually read that before? I kind of
I don't think we're supposed to. I think we're supposed to read it, but if you did, it's not a big deal.
I didn't. I was kind of shocked when I saw it, and I was like, oh, well.
It's like a page and a half. It's nothing.
I didn't actually.
So we can either read it, or someone who read it can summarize what it talked about, or we can just read it real quick. Up to you guys.
You can read in detail, but the summary essentially says Doug didn't go through the sale. He brought Shields on, but under a different scale, 60-40 split. So Doug ended up retaining more of the ownership, and now they're disagreeing on a new engineer, vice president of engineering. Doug wants somebody who's highly skilled in actual engineering, and Shields wants somebody that's, I think, more business savvy.
Yeah.
And so Shields is debating whether to go against Doug's wishes and to just put in the person who he wants and ignore and ignore Doug's recommendation.
Oh yeah. That's interesting. So then it says, it just says, ask for some opposing views. What do you guys think he should do in the situation? Think he should go the business guy or the engineer?
I think for the future of the company, you go with the engineer to develop more software, put some, new products going.
Yeah, because if you're not innovating, you'll fall behind really quick. And I feel like, they already have a good sense of business. It's like, why bring in another guy when you can hire an engineer?
That's what I was gonna say. They already got business guys.
Yeah.
I think the kind of damage will go deeper than that too, because I think if I read it right, Doug had already kind of promised this guy and had already kind of lined out with the other like techie people that he was going to be put in place, and they were excited about it. And if it goes contrary to that, then not only will Doug and Shields have an issue because Shields went against what Doug said, but I think kind of the rest of the really working group will know that he's not in control of the company anymore.
Yeah.
I guess what Doug could do later on down the road is change the split to maybe, him a little less, Shields a little more. Then he could also say, hey, I'll hire your buddy, but just not right now. Let's wait for a little bit.
The issue is Shield is already in control. He's the CEO. He can make that decision.
That's true.
So there's no incentive for Shields to renegotiate to give Doug a better split. What's done's done.
Yeah. And then it kind of talks about, depending on the decision, how does this affect the company culture, the leadership team, and the investors' relationship? I think, if anything, no matter what the decision is, I feel like it's going to pull them apart a little bit, Everyone's going to be frustrated no matter what. And then he's probably wishing he would have just cashed out, taken the money and walked away, maybe started something else. But yeah, I definitely think, with the company culture, I feel like it would change the way things were ran, and it wouldn't be this small startup anymore. It would be kind of, getting that deal. But yeah, and who knows, it could maybe damage some relationship with the investors too.
I think you're going to end up with like factions starting within the company, because either way, so if Shields hires Barr, then Doug isn't going to care for that, and then you have the C-suite of the company that aren't going to see eye to eye in either case, because if Shields goes with Doug's pick, then Doug and this other guy are going to end up being more aligned. So I think they're kind of stuck now, where the leadership team, unless they actively work on solving that, they're going to have issues.
Yeah. Sure.
You think about like what's the percentage of startups succeeding their first go around, you know? Maybe this will be just a stepping stool for Doug for something bigger or better.
Yeah. Yeah. So then it says there's actually a C case as well. I didn't even see that one. Did you guys?
Of course there is.
So
It's a PowerPoint.
it's downloading. Oh, it's a PowerPoint. It's not even.
Oh.
So it says.
Just the slides.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what I thought. It's an email from. So it looks like Shields hired Barr, who is not what Doug. That was not Doug's pick, and so Barr is emailing Shields saying, Shields' first name is Tom. Tom, Doug continues to be disruptive. His salary is $170,000. He holds the title of Chief Technology Officer, which I should have. His team wasn't functional and has been replaced. All the board at the board meeting today. Do the right things for the company. Looks like they're going to try to oust Doug.
Oh, that's savage.
Yeah.
They're taking the money.
Well, that's what I thought. I didn't read those other things, but I didn't think Doug was going to be happy. It was going in a different direction, just from a qualitative standpoint. I think he should have sold.
Yeah, and like when it really comes down to it, you know, like and when you're in the situation and you know you have somewhat control of the business over the guy who founded it, it's like you got to do what's best, you know, and can him. And I mean, look at Apple; they got rid of Steve Jobs for a little bit, you know, because he kind of went off the deep end. It's like you just got to do, you know, what's best. And so, I mean, it sucks, but it happens, you know. And I feel like, you know, there's two entrepreneurs out in the world: those who can start a company and sell it, and then there's those that can take a company that's already been started and grow it into something. And I just feel like, you know, Doug should have just cashed out, man.
They actually kind of say that the only way for a company to grow from startup to a mature company is they have to get rid of the entrepreneur. They have a different mindset.
Oh yeah, it's totally. I totally believe it, and I agree with that. And I feel like if you're an entrepreneur like that, I feel like if you those guys that can recognize that, those are the guys that make a lot of money. You know, they just kind of start something else and keep selling them and restarting and selling them, and they do really well in life. You know,
Yeah.
and just kind of put your ego aside and just do what you enjoy doing and what you're good at.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's horrible.
Oh yeah, it's hard when you're in that situation.
Like to fire Doug, you know, it has to be horrible. However, it looks that Doug wanted like to keep having like most of the equity or something like that. However, I don't think it would be a good idea to fire Doug because he was the one who wrote the algorithm, you know, and because he was the one who found the answer of this problem in the market. Um, Also, I think he had more to give, you know, to the company. And well, even though to be honest, this John Barr, it looks like he's a really good engineer. So he could do um, what Doug would do, you know. So it's kind of a tough situation. Um, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what would be the best option, you know, because if they fire Doug, they would save lots of money for his salary. So
I kind of feel like it's the only way to go now. I mean, they got rid of the rest of his team. The other C-suite of the company doesn't agree with him. The company owns the algorithm. Doug does not. So they have what they need. I think the company's changed, and I don't think Doug, other than out of kind of ego and and kind of feeling like he owns it because he gave it life, I don't think Doug's really bringing much to the table anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there are other factors in that. I mean, he is the founder. He did, like you said, he created kind of the whole idea.
Well, it says, how could Doug have avoided getting into this situation? And actually, that's a really good question. I have no idea what else. Well, probably be more humble, something like that.
Should have been more careful when they negotiated the split.
Yeah.
Kind of the domino effect.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I think he was fundamentally like I don't think he knew what he was getting into either, because as soon as he hired a CEO, he no longer was in control of the company. Even if he had ownership, he wasn't running the day to day. He was going to have people that were going to follow the CEO. I mean, I don't think he realized what he was getting into when he did what he did. And so I think overall he should have sold the company and just let it run, maybe be hired on as a consultant to finish the algorithm. But I think he should have let go of the company and just cashed out.
Yeah.
Well, another option is just to fire John Barr, because he was later in the company. He was hired later, and if he's doing the same thing as Doug, well, I think it would be better to keep having Doug in the company and just fire John Barr. What do you think?
Yeah, but the problem is the Tom Shields, the CEO, and Doug aren't getting along either. So Doug's going to continue to have problems in his own company.
Yeah, that's right. Bye, Doug.
Yeah, it's like my thing. It's like if you started a company like that and you had that cash offer, it's like, why would you want the headache? Just walk away. And it even said like he could have used the money I think it said something to the extent of he could have used the money like at home around his family or something in Colorado. So it was like I think they had plans for that money if they did take it. So I mean, it's whatever. Yeah, so that's it for the YieldX. For home plate, it just says share with the group what answers you got to the questions presented in the case. If there's any discrepancies, work them out together.
I would like to ask some help with before going to the home plate case study. I couldn't complete the YieldX one. The first point. I mean, the first number. Uh, what did you do? Did you do like a what's it called? Excel tables?
On what?
On the let me look for it real quick.
Are you talking about the pre-work or the case analysis?
Yeah, the case analysis
on home plate or YieldX?
YieldX. Let me just double check here. It says case analysis spread on YieldX, and okay, so it says that if you were advising Doug Kaufman, would you recommend that he accept the offer from Turn to acquire YieldX? Why or why not? Do you see that? Responding to this, you may want to consider scenarios for the evolution of the company. For instance, a relatively rosy scenario would be, and there are four options.
Yes, you're going to do a capitalization sheet for that. So, did you build one at all for the home plate case?
Yeah, I did all of them.
So you should be able to take pretty much the same thing here. I haven't done it yet. I was going to do it right after this. I had enough kind of in my head where I thought I could have a discussion pretty easily, but hang on, we can kind of look at it real quick, but you should be able to just pull some of the numbers over. So you have your normal capitalization table. And so you would look at, you'd have to put in the angel funding. So you would just pull so he didn't put any investment in. Doug didn't. So then you'd do the initial, so he had 0. I don't know. Did it say how many shares there were?
That's the problem. I think there's like, I know it's not that. I think there was some missing information. I don't know where to find that information. For example, the number of shares or the total initial investment.
So later in the case, he said he didn't put any money in. He didn't have any cash to put in, so he didn't put any money in that. So his initial investment is 0. Yeah, you're right. I'd have to look at it deeper.
Because it's kind of hard to determine how much. I mean, what were the changes after the Series A investment?
So they have a capitalization sheet in there. It's Exhibit 2. Oh, if you look at Exhibit 4, it breaks it all down.
So you would take like this Exhibit 2 as the seed investment?
If you go to, Exhibit 4, it has it all broken down. I haven't looked at it enough to get into it, but you're right. You do have to have.
I think that the Exhibit 4 is going to be enough to complete that.
Yeah, I don't know where he got the share. I don't know where they got the number of shares. Does anybody else see where they got that?
Mm-mm. I'm trying to find it.
I don't.
I mean, I guess we'd have to go by that. I mean, Exhibit 4 has the breakdown of shares.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah. That's what I would. That's what I would say. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. Whoever recorded the meeting, just can you turn in the link? Is that all right?
Yeah, I can submit that. No
Okay,
problem.
sweet. Thanks, Derek. And then if anyone has any questions when they're doing their spreadsheets or whatever, just I guess we can just stay in touch through the email.
For a clean Word document.
Yeah.
So do we want to go over the group assignment?
Oh, is there an actual assignment? Oh, yeah, there is. That's right. Yeah, let's look at that real quick. Because I can't remember who. Someone already created the Google Docs for it, right?
I did, but it's just blank.
Yeah,
Put it in.
that's fine. So it says complete the following with your group. Let's see. Lexi needs $50,000 to get to the next milestone in validating her business model. She offered the money for Mao Katori Money Management (MMM) in exchange for a 30% stake in the company. What are the pre-post money values for this investment? So I think we just have to make a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
So, like Google Sheets.
I can send one of those instead.
Okay.
Or you might need both. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like we'll have to write a little bit so we can. Yeah, we can make. Yeah, we can do both, I guess.
So I'm going out of town tomorrow morning and don't get back till Sunday. I plan on being able to do a little bit of work, but I won't have a whole lot of access. Our ward planned a big long temple trip 6 months ago, and it's a 7-hour drive to get there and a 7-hour drive back.
Yeah, you're fine. I mean, I'm planning on working on it a little bit tomorrow, probably tomorrow night. So, I mean, you're fine if you don't really do anything. I think the rest of us can handle it. Do what you got to do, man.
Okay. And then there's a set. So question 1 is just doing a capitalization sheet.
Yeah.
And then question 2 is, did Doug Kosman make a mistake hiring Tom Shields? What should have been done differently? I guess I can just give my 2 cents. I think he did. And I think he should have sold the business. I think that's the only thing that would have made him happy. Qualitatively, that's what he should have done. You know, even though the numbers didn't point him in that direction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think this assignment will be fairly quick. It won't take much. So.
Okay.
But yeah, if you wanted to just put your 2 cents in for that number 2 question on that, it's in that Google Docs that was sent out earlier. That's fine.
Okay.
And then the rest of us, we can just stay in touch through email and just make sure we have it done, you know, Friday at a decent time. Does that sound good to you guys?
Sounds good.
Well, good.
Okay, sweet. Well, I guess if there's nothing else, then we'll just stay in touch over email.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Yeah.